What's up, guys? I'll try to manage it now, but the topic of this video is how important it is to pay attention to stuff that you pay your attention towards. Even the word itself, pay attention, so you have like pay. I think I would mention that before or some, but still, you pay. Attention is like the article. I don't know how to call that. Yeah, I think it's article, and then tension. That you, so you have a tension between somebody, two stubborn people, right? You have a tension between them, and the same you have tension because you're focusing something. You're not just by your free flow looking at something. You are actually putting focus on that shit. Yeah. Why is that important? Because everything that you're paying your attention towards, it kind of builds up in your mind. And I even, like yesterday, I had like a little allegory for that. Let's say you're doing it on subconsciously and unconscious level, right? So like every time you're looking towards something, and the more you are paying your attention towards that, the more in your inner world, in your mind, in your well-being or something, in your emotional state, you're also building that thingy. It's like you're not building it physically as you do it here. For example, like you're focusing on let's say building a house, and the more you invest into it, the more ideas you get about that, the more you put your life into it, the more care you have for it. Therefore, for example, let's say you're building your house like for a day, and you invested not as much as you invested into that house when you build it for, let's say, 2 years, right? So if everything gets destroyed by something, you feel more depressed after, in the part where you invested into it like 2 years, right? But it also depends on what you invested and the stuff that you invested, how important it was for you. For example, because you have money, which not everybody has, and for some people money are more important. For example, you invested into all the products, into all the materials and shit like that, and even though you're building your house the second day, you still may get depressed because for the money that you invested into your materials, you were working hard for that shit. So yeah, so you also can feel depressed in this situation. Also, so that's basically the aspect of paying attention, and also like also a little allegory. But you're building this all in your internal world, right? The more attention you put into something, the more kind of that stuff is being built up. So let's say you have a person just walking on the field. He looks left and he's like, oh, there's like a place where I'll build my house. He already invested into that, like some part of attention. Then the more he is there, the more he invests, the more ideas he gets, the more pictures of that shit of his house, the more ideas, more and more, and now it's a part of his life to some degree. Even with time, if you actually have a lot of focus on that shit, it let's say manifests. It becomes your, to some degree, your mindset, and then your mindset turns into your like physical shit, aka like blood flow and shit, because you're also getting based on the shit that you're reacting to, you're getting like some different ways of blood reactions. So for example, like let's say you're in your sexual urges, therefore your blood rushes into your sexual organs, and then you have a boner or you just get wet, type shit like that, and it also goes with the same shit as here. So depending on which stuff do you focus on and you build internally, the more it turns like, there's like cycles and shit like that. Then you have this like tension. First you put your attention, then you have attention inside of you. So for example, if you are in the depressed state, and the more you're building that house of depressive state, the more the more your body will look like you're depressive, right? Depressed and shit. So you will maybe have like those blue thingies under your eyes. You will look like that, you know. Your skin will get worse and shit like that. And like for the person who is hella optimistic and shit in life, his even his skin will look way more younger, you know. And shit like that. His body will be way more younger and shit like that. And so yeah, so that's like about, yeah, so you low-key build that if you put your attention towards something, you low-key build it in your own internal world, which then affects some parts that may affect also your external world, type shit like that, you know. And it's like how I came to this thing is like one day I was just walking around and shit in the park, and I was in that kind of state where, you know, when you have a walk like for a long time in the park, you already kind of focus more on the shit that like you are more in that meditative state because you don't have distractions around you and shit like that, and you're more in that meditative state. And I was walking by a guy who didn't have a hand, and I was like, you know, like with the side of my eye I saw it, and I was like, let me not just put my attention into that, because I will just start building on it and building on it, and it can tie itself to different aspects. Like, you know, for example, you're building this house, but the paint which you were painting with the house with got stuck on you, and then you went into your house which you live in right now, and you laid down on your bed, and now this paint is also on your bed. So you can also, with this like little over analyzing, overthinking, and then tying it up to different shit, you can also dirty other places, and then everything low-key gets, not, it doesn't get fucked, but then you have to put your attention and tension for it to get destroyed and shit like that. Because for example, let's say you had a good association with like some situation, and then you experience something, or you put your attention towards something, and then you were just going analyzing in your mind this like thingy that you're experiencing right now, and then you were like, okay, what would happen if this would happen in that place, that first place, you know, that comfy place, bumps, and then you have new ideas building into that. Now this like little building which was already built, and it was pretty good build, now you're adding some extra floors into it which are not needed, and it may even destroy the building. Because for example, like even you know, for example, in my country you have this like, you have houses, and some houses don't have like a balcony, like flats. Some flats don't have a balcony, and people just add their own, they build balcony by themselves, you know, even though it's like it's not safe, it's illegal, but people still do that, and sometimes those balconies get like destroyed and shit, and kill other people and shit. But yeah, but you also can have it on your internal, then maybe external too, being and shit like that. But also the part about, oh yeah, about like also paying attention. When I was going in the park, you're more in that state of you, in that meditative state. Then I kind of feel sick, hella sick. But okay, I'm back. I think I feel sick because I drank too much coffee straight as I woke up. That's nasty. Yeah, so when I was walking in the park, I was in that state, meditative state, and maybe it was due to the fact because I was in a place that doesn't have so many different representations, you know. A park is just a park, like a forest is just a forest. You have trees and shit like that. It's more like natural flow, you know. The ideas that you will get from seeing the shit around you is more like low-key natural than it is, I don't know, than it is unnatural. As when you already go out on the streets, now you have different billboards, right, which like promote different shit, and now you can get lost into that, you can put your attention into that. Now you start to build something inside your mind, which is not needed. Some shit like, oh, that guy on the billboard says like you can have cancer by just walking on the street, and now you build that shit in your mind. Now it attaches to some different stuff. Now even the fact that you even breathe, you can attach that shit to that shit, you know. And now it was crazy. And so yeah, and we are living in this, especially now. I mean, like, that's why forests, that's why sometimes you have to go into the forest, or like have like a more natural just surrounding, like a peace, you know, because there is a peace. You just sit there, you just see how birds interact, and you're like, oh yeah, cute. And not only cute, but also you can learn something from that, because to some degree we are all part of nature, and to some degree we all act similar. But when you go out on the streets, you already have a lot of different shit that you can even forget your shit that you had at home, because as soon as you walk out, you already have like, okay, here I have to cross this light, can I make this tram, can I take this tram, or I can take another tram. Now you have 10 different roads how you can get to the city center, and which is better for you. Now you're look in a rush, then you're like, different people are walking by, somebody wears this, somebody wears that, and you're like, okay, this, blah blah blah, and you're like unconsciously sometimes you are putting your attention into shit that is not needed. You know, for example, a bus is passes. Yeah, okay, the bus is passes, like, why I have to give a shit about that? But you may think like, oh, there's somebody inside, blah blah blah, maybe somebody will look at me. But I mean, like, maybe you don't have those thoughts, but those are just like examples of possible thoughts that you may have just by you going outside and shit. But yeah, so therefore, I mean, that's mostly the unconscious part, right? First, I guess you have to get you. It's the same as you put your attention towards something, and it just builds up with time. So at the first few seconds, minutes, hours, days, months, you'll not even be able to see the difference into the shit that you were paying your attention to, because it's like the first stages and shit. But with time, like after already big cycles, like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you will already see it to some degree affecting you, you know, on the inside and shit like that. And what I want to say, yeah, and now maybe you, if you will go outside, you unconsciously, because you're so used to it, because you already went a long way of this habit, this routine of unconsciously seeing stuff and just like adding your thoughts into that, putting your attention towards that, actually adding ideas and feelings. Because if you just swing your head around and you just see something and you just don't pay attention, I mean, like, you do see it, but you don't put your tension inside of it, you don't put your thoughts and your feelings, your life, low-key, into that shit. Therefore you don't kind of take it in and shit. You can just look around, right? But as soon as you put your thoughts and feelings inside of it, you're already adding it to your internal space, like unconsciously, subconsciously, consciously, which is low-key a part of you now. And I know if it's beneficial, then it's beneficial. If it's not beneficial, then it's not beneficial, and you have to get rid of it, type shit like that. But yeah, going back to the fact that due to the fact that you already have a build-up routine of you unconsciously paying your attention towards different stuff and adding your thoughts and feelings towards it, it will be hard at the first moments for you to automatically get rid of that. But the mere fact that you will at some point stop yourself and be like, oh yeah, is it, do I actually have to? Or like you already pay your attention towards something and you're like, why even paying my attention towards that shit? And you're stopping here, you already did better than you would do, you know? Because, for example, let's say if you would not stop at this moment of you saying, why I have to even pay attention to this shit, it's not beneficial for me, and you stopped here, it's better than you would just go on thinking and continuing to think, and adding the fact that you cannot do shit with it. I mean you cannot do shit with the fact that you are thinking about that shit, you know. You'll be just like, yeah, those are just thoughts, but you're actually adding your part of life towards that. You're actually considering it. You're actually putting inside your mind. Your mind is having sex with that shit. So it's basically like and from there you have different kind of monsters being born and shit. So that's basically also like sex, that you're mixing something, and from you mixing one particle with another particle, you will have a third particle. And depending on how the mixture went, that's how the particle will look like. Shit like that, yeah. But going back to the fact that it's a routine matter of you building up this thingy where you actually, when you go out, you're like, okay, you just see different shit. You see like billboards, you see like different thingies, you see different news, you see different like, let's say, portals to some degree, right? And with time you will get to that point, I guess, that you already get out and you on your own mind and you only pay attention. You see shit and you're like, okay, to this particular thing I can actually pay my attention and shit like that. But yeah, even I'm not on that level yet. Sometimes I get lost, but to be honest, I think it's also I enjoyed the fact of me just getting lost into something, because I mean to some degree life maybe would be boring if I would not get lost into different shit, you know, like for example just dreaming about something or just seeing some commercial and just putting my attention towards that and just I don't know, and just like adding some different thoughts and feelings and just like vibing in it, you know, in your mind and shit like that. But maybe also the mere fact that even the thoughts and feelings that I add towards that shit are beneficial to me. So let's say I saw like a commercial of a rapper who has a lot of money, and I put my attention towards that, but I put it more in the way like, oh damn, me imagining myself having that much money, or just hanging out with this rapper and me being me and just doing the shit that I would do if I would be in that situation. But I'm not in this situation, but I'm still kind of making it to my benefit, actually, like that, you know. I hope you can hear me. Damn, it's like it has to be good. It has to be good and it has to be understandable. Even though I'm low-key sick, and I almost got sick, and I almost yeah, because I drink too much coffee and shit. But yeah, so yeah, it's like a pattern thingy. So even the mere fact that you already know that how important is attention, even like you go out during the day and in the last moment before you getting back to your home, you only remember this fact, you already to some degree won the battle of your attention. But it will come with time. You can even track back, if you want, the shit that you were paying your attention towards and how it turned out to be. Because I have a lot of representation of different people who, let's say, are invested into their hobbies, right? And I think because I also see it in myself when I'm investing myself into some type of hobby or some type of thingy, the more you kind of invest into it, the more new ideas you get, the more, like, for example, let's say I'm making like a video clip or like a beat or something, and it's like wait, so yeah, I'm doing like a beat or something, right? I did like a beat today. It's an example, right? I'm doing a beat. I made a beat, then I give it a break. I gave it a break for like a day. On the next day I came on. I have already new thoughts. I have already new ways of doing it. Or just let's say I made a beat, then I forgot about it like for 6 months or something. But I was still doing beats and shit. But I was doing another beat. And me even coming back to this beat that I made like 4-6 months ago, but already with the knowledge and the routines that I built up with this, like in the time of 6 months, which made me a better master in doing beats than I was before. I can now make something which looked hella trash to me, or which will look trash to some other people, due to the fact that that was my first beat, you know, and your first tries are not always the best tries and shit. especially because you don't know, even though you are good in music, you still may be lacking the technical part, and you don't know, you maybe know how you would like something to sound, but you don't know how to put it in such a way for it to sound like that. So yeah, so maybe first tries would be like trash and shit, but even like this fact that 6 months later I would come back, I would do a better, I would use this like foundation that I already have, but I would make it way more nicer and way more good sounding and way more, I would say, lit, and I would maybe turn it actually into a banger and shit like that. But yeah, but that's basically the whole lecture on, it's not a lecture though, it's like mostly it's just a reminder, because you actually, it's like it's actually a reminder because you do know this stuff. It's like, even because this is the fact that you're so much putting your attention towards different shit, you are not even paying attention to this small little thing, is because you got maybe so lost. I'm not saying so lost, it's life, right? I also get lost and shit, and you got so lost that you're not paying to this attention. But if you would just, like, let's say, okay, I reminded you and you're like, oh yeah, it actually makes sense, type shit. But you already know, you don't have to invest like 6 years into figuring it out. You can actually work on the grounds that you have right now and just go on further and shit like that. But yeah, that was actually it. Pay attention to the shit that you actually need, not to some BS, even though if you unconsciously, subconsciously, or consciously put your attention towards something, make it go to your advantage later or at the moment or even before. So yeah, I wish y'all a good day and have fun.